hello to everyone from Toadsuck, Arkansas to Idiotville, Oregon, and lest we forget our favorite town, Pelzer, South Carolina. The town's so terrible. All 124 acres of it, I read that on Wikipedia, Brian. All 124 acres are not claimed by two different counties. This is the MadPark podcast. As always, I'm Tom, that is
Brian.
And we have a really special guest today, an actual professional guest. This is
I don't know if
this is
I wouldn't go that far.
David Cannon. You know him better as Ace and TJ Show.
Yep.
Ace has a podcast also, but we are recording this right now, live, unedited. We'll edit it later. At the Vault inside the Playroom, 916 Tuckasegee Road on Charlotte's blistering, almost magma hot west side. It is like
I'm going to start referring to it as the magma hot west side.
Magma hot west side. It's hotter than the surface of the sun. Why
see
are
what
we?
they're doing with these buildings?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a hot area.
Yeah.
You see that
No,
when you
yeah,
come over
no.
here. But anyway, come on over and check us out. And you can also, if you're too lazy to leave your house, if you're a troll or whatever they call them nowadays, a lazy dude, just go and check it out at theplayroom.online.com. David Cannon, Ace Cannon. Are you related to the other Ace Cannon?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
I don't know how many people know.
That's how the nickname stuck.
Yeah. Where were you born?
In Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay, well, Ace Cannon was from Mississippi.
Louisiana, from that area.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so he was always on TV around when I was a kid. And in middle school, I had a middle school basketball coach. I could shoot from the outside, which was all I could do.
Yeah.
And if I was in the game, we were either way ahead or way behind.
behind.
But when I went in, he was like fired up. Who cares? And he started calling me Ace like that. And so when I got into radio, I went to work at a radio station, the first one where they were actually going to pay me money. And he said, "Oh, well, we already have a guy named David that works here, so you've got to pick up another name. Do you have a nickname?" And I said, "Well, not really." I said, "My middle school basketball coach called me Ace." And he goes, "We're going with that." Important life decisions made right there. Just, okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ace Cannon was, fairly well known. I knew about him, saxophonist.
Yeah, had
Late
those
50s, early 60s.
TV albums that were out.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, like in the early and mid '80s, it would show up on TV albums of the hits of Ace Cannon or
I was
whatever.
born in the mid '80s, so
Okay, well, stop. I don't want to get rude. Anyway, it was like his commercial would run back to back with Boxcar Willie's greatest hits and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
again,
I suppose.
you don't know what that is.
What's that quasi-disgusting hat you're wearing, Ace?
What am I? Quasi, my glorious alma mater, LSU, who happens to be ranked as
I
the
like those guys. I thought that was something else.
team in America.
I thought that
not
was a
for long.
Pelzer High School hat.
Oh no.
Not for long. The Ohio State Buckeyes are going to take it.
Gross, dude.
Ooh, that's the one that worries me the most.
Oh yeah.
Ohio State's got a great defense right now.
They should.
boys.
You still doing that little radio show thing you do?
Yeah, little radio show's still rolling along, so can't complain about that.
Yep. I think
I
my
could,
mom still
but
listens.
Nobody would listen. Tell her I said thanks. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
We ain't talking lately.
We'll take it any way we can get it.
We talk all the time.
You and your mom?
No, me and Ace.
I was like,
Yeah, me and my mom talk. The Ace and TJ Show, 96.1, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. You never know when it might change. Is that iHeartRadio?
Yes,
It is, okay.
and it's weird. Technically, we're in a weird. Technically, we own the show.
Okay.
So it's ATJ Incorporated.
Oh, okay.
But we have we are contract labor essentially with iHeart.
Gotcha. So y'all don't have to wear a uniform to work?
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
that's great.
But we don't get the cool iHeartRadio hoodies at Christmas, at the Christmas party.
We'll make you one.
Yeah, thanks.
that's true.
It'll say
That's right. I'll have you.
We'll just tweak it. Brian's a graphic designer. Brian, idea for the day, I fart radio. I want to know how long you've lived in Charlotte so I can know how much I can relate to about
21 years.
21 years. So
Yeah.
that's, okay, let me do the math. Okay.
It was
1
98.
year.
April of 98.
No, hold on.
was
I'm going
when
to check
we did.
this. 1 year would be, 98. I was just wondering how long. I was born and raised here.
Okay.
And I'll
You're
be-
one of the rare people born and raised
No,
here.
there's plenty of us, but there's a lot of other what we call carpetbaggers, interlopers, Midwestern white trash.
I've only been here 12 years, so you got me beat.
Did you pay the fee when you came here?
You mean property tax?
No, when we
Yeah.
made you get some dignity.
No, I work with you, so.
No, I work for a living, sir. This should be easy for you. Who are the American Rolling Stones?
the I would say Aerosmith.
Exactly. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brian. See, stupid. I asked you that before, and you said Michael Jackson's bomb. Of Aerosmith's songs, what's their best song? In your opinion, what's the best song? And I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I would want to go with, I don't know, Chip Away the Stone is one of my favorites.
Not bad, but the correct answer is Lord of the Thighs.
Not a bad one. Not
No,
a bad
it's a good one.
Yeah,
Don't,
it's
don't,
good.
don't shit on me like that right here.
No,
please.
I saw them in Vegas a couple of months ago over the summer.
Yeah.
Devastatingly good.
Still
and then you
good.
go, like, oh my God, wait, they're 70-something years old, but
Yeah.
they were unbelievable.
Their kids are 70. Actually.
Unbelievable. They were great.
Brian, chime in at any time, man.
No,
I mean,
go ahead.
dude,
I thought you were going to do your standard,
Yeah.
quick questions.
Okay, well, I'll give you another quick question.
Okay.
Got any kids?
Yes, 2.
I knew that. Which ones? I mean, what type?
I have a daughter named Peyton and a son named Cade. She's
No.
20, he's 17.
Okay. Oh, that's a tough age.
Yeah.
It
So
was for me.
I assume, which we'll talk about the video later in your new music career.
Yeah.
The daughter is who the song's about? I
Yes,
assume?
that is correct, yeah.
Any plans to write one about your son?
Yeah, I have to now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, damn. That's the, one just comes to you and you write it, and it was her originally a gift for her 18th birthday, but it turned out being a Christmas gift because I couldn't get it together in time. And now he's already told people, I hope there's one in there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be called Don't Disappoint Me.
Well, let me go back to, college because you went to LSU, right?
Yes.
So, what got you into radio? Was it something in school there?
I was in high school and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. If I was going to be in, I wanted to do radio or TV. And I was that kid that I played sports, but I hosted all the talent shows and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing. And then this girl that I knew I was kind of going out with, we stopped. She said, we were going out one night. She said, I got to stop by and drop something off to my cousin. Her cousin happened to be the afternoon drive DJ and program director at one of my favorite radio stations. I meant from a town of like 16,000 people. And across the river is a larger town of 50,000 people, so
Yeah.
there weren't that many options. But this guy was cool, and he let us in the studio. And I just walked in, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Because I was a huge music fan. I was like instantly mesmerized by it.
If nothing else, they just had tons of cool records.
They had, and they still had records.
Remember records?
And they
Ace?
just then had some CDs and some records. It was a nice mix, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever
Remember
seen
when
in my life.
CDs were like $24.99 a piece, Brian?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I remember. It was
And they would come on the radio and say, what was it? Pointing out that now the crystal clear compact disc sound on the radio.
By Philips Magnavox.
It's crazy.
Get it at your local Tarts.
Yeah, and so when I went to college, I went to the KLSU college radio station and had a guy that I knew from my first dorm or from my only dorm. And he said, I've got the Hard Rock and Metal show Saturday nights, midnight to 3. You want to come hang out and do it with me? Hell yeah.
Oh,
and then, because it was an alternative station. So all they did was like, they didn't know what we were doing. They were like, these look like metal records. Like, here, take that.
What was it?
This was like 87, 88, 89. So they didn't really know. And half of it some of it was terrible.
Yeah.
But it was still stuff like Armored Saint and anything that Metallica, Megadeth, all that stuff. They didn't know what to do with.
I think I've heard of Armored Saint, lead singer John Bush.
Yeah, exactly.
Went on to Anthrax, came back to
Anthrax.
Armored Saint.
And so they just kind of gave us a bunch of records. And so we played everything from glam metal to thrash and all points in between and had free reign. And it was the greatest thing ever. But it was still free Saturday nights, midnight to 3. And so I finally got a paying job one summer and, kind of took off from there.
That's awesome.
That's a weird, midnight to 3, because my freshman year of college, my roommate and I did a radio show. The lady was like, hey, you guys are funny. You want to do this radio show? We're like, sure. When is it? And they said Friday, midnight to 3. And we were like,
We'd be drunk anyway. Why not?
we were like,
Right.
we're like, who's really listening to that at that point?
What was
But-
so bad? I took it so
yeah.
seriously. I would go to, we'd go to the LSU ball game or whatever, and I'd go to a party afterwards, and okay, I'm here for like 15 minutes, and I'll have one beer. I got to leave. And they were like,
Yeah.
well, take some with you. No, I can't be drinking on the radio. That's against the rules.
No,
And then
I couldn't possibly let my guard down and let it
Yeah.
all hang loose.
Couldn't let that happen. And then I let my dad come one night. My dad got hammered on vodka in
Oh,
the studio
God.
while I was talking.
What was your first paying radio gig?
Full time.
Yeah.
I went back to the radio station in my hometown in Alexandria.
Okay.
I had worked there one summer, and it turns out as I was graduating, they were looking for somebody to come in and do overnights. So I graduated college on August 1st of 91, moved home on the afternoon of the 2nd, and on the night of the 3rd, I went to work for the same guy again. Guy turned out to be the guy that let me in that studio when I was in high school that showed me around.
Oh, no
he
way.
was the guy that gave me my first paying
Oh,
job.
that's cool,
Nice.
man.
And so, so I started out doing midnight to 6.
Is that guy still alive? I know that's a weird
Yeah,
question.
barely, but he's still
But
alive.
that's not that long ago. It's 30 years ago almost. But
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
that long ago.
And he was in his 20s then, so now
Yeah.
he's
So now he's my age.
Yeah, late 50s, maybe 60 or so now, something like that.
96.1, I know you said you guys are basically contract labor and stuff. You still, clearly you have access to like the numbers.
Sure.
Has your audience grown? Because I know that terrestrial radio is a little different than it was. Things are different. The markets are different. Big corporations bought up a lot of the small stuff over the last decades. That's, to me, it's neither good nor bad. I don't care, as long as somebody's playing music. How has the audience grown? Has it plateaued? Are people looking for something different? Did a new group of core audience members come up?
iHeartRadio's too they've got an app now that they tell everybody to download too. So I'd be curious.
Yeah, and we have our own app on the show. So it's one of the
radio.
things that we tell people. We spoke at a radio conference a couple years ago, and I just held up my phone. I was like, "Hey, I don't know if y'all got the word, but this is your radio now. This is it. Outside the car, this is the thing.
It's great."
And so you can take it with you everywhere. So we have our app and all that. Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of ebbs and flows, and we've been very fortunate to stay right near the top, but we're in one of those peak moments now where the audience kind of comes your way.
Yeah,
we're in a predominantly 18 to 49-year-old female appeal radio station. Emphasis on the 27 to 35 kind of year old, 27 to 40-year-old range. If you had to kind of narrow it down even more, so for us, it's pretty solid. It hasn't really impacted that audience all that much. They like podcasts, but if you give them something that's entertaining, they'll listen to what you have, and then they'll go somewhere else after that. A lot of times they'll go somewhere else maybe for more specific music that they want to hear while they're at work or whatever the case may be. Yeah. But what is that? I saw a stat the other day. It's like 94% of Americans are still impacted by the FM radio or broadcast radio every week, which is still a lot. And it's one of those things. Every time somebody says, "Oh, satellite radio is going to kill. CDs are going to kill radio. Satellite radio is going to kill you. Oh, podcasts are going to kill you." Well, podcasts and satellites replace CDs, and those things. All those things go around. So it's. I think it's pretty cyclical, but we're in a pretty good cycle right now.
I think it's also they're all supplemental to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, even Howard Stern said, "Hey, I'm on satellite, but there's always going to be a place for that." I hope there's always a place for satellite.
Yeah, and one of the heads of iHeart said about a year or two ago, he said, if we just created radio today, it would be the greatest thing that anybody's ever heard. They would think, "Oh my God, this thing is free and I can get it anywhere, anytime, any place. This is the most incredible thing ever."
But we've had it for so long. We're so
for
jaded.
So long. It's one of those things
Spoiled.
that everybody says it's gonna go away, and it never, it keeps hanging around. But it comes in different forms.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be adaptable to the fact that a lot of people they listen to our show now on our app. Even on the iHeartRadio app. They'll listen later in the day. They'll come back and listen at 2:00 in the afternoon when it's more convenient for them. And it's great. And it's great for us because you can kind of keep that thing going 24 hours a day a little bit more.
But also too, like what you were saying is you might listen to the radio at one point and then a certain time. Like when I'm working, I want to listen to like Spotify with a certain playlist.
Yeah, because you want to lock into something specific.
And
sure.
I agree with that. The radio, the thing I still like about radio is it's a little bit more personable in a sense because you guys do the shows and the things like that, callers.
It's
all the different stuff. You go places.
Well, and they're also here in town.
Well, right. And you're not gonna. Nobody from Spotify or Pandora is gonna go somewhere and be able to meet these guys or any of this stuff. Yeah.
And it's the only radio. It's the only form of entertainment that is really that personal because you can't call Maureen O'Boyle at WBTV. And let me talk to Maureen while it's a commercial break. Let me talk to her. I got to ask her a question real quick. They don't let you do that, probably for a good reason.
They won't answer the phone in hopes of a total train wreck on the air like you would.
Absolutely. They won't ask people, "Hey, call in right now because we're looking for the weirdest."
Yeah.
We did a thing today on our show that said if we called it, what do we call it? Oh, I'll show you crazy. And we told women, we said, "Look, here's where we're at. Here's what we're trying to prove this point. Call us and tell us when you were in an argument with a guy and he called you crazy, and then what happened." And where now you look back on and realize, I was off the rails.
Yeah.
And we had a girl that said after she beat the hood of his car in, he called her crazy, and she went to the girl's house that she found out he was cheating on, and she wrote "whore" in gasoline in her front yard and lit it on fire.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, and we had one girl who said...
That's like a 1,000 pitch size for you graphic people.
And this one girl did call it. She said it wasn't me, but her friend jumped on her...
It was her.
...boyfriend's car and urinated all over the windshield and the hood after he called her crazy.
When he turned on the windshield wipers?
Never
mind.
Spotify's not going to give you that.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
No,
Because I'll listen to that stuff in the morning or when we're driving somewhere or, because... Sometimes I want to listen to my same playlist over and over and over again.
Yeah, there's a personal connection there that you can't beat. when it's done right. That's not to defend. There's a lot of bad radio out there that. Sure. There are a lot of things that radio in general could be doing a lot better to have a little more heart and soul and be better locked in with people.
Ain't nothing perfect.
Yeah. So what about when you were younger? Growing up, were you influenced by any certain music? Did your parents listen to anything specific?
It's interesting. I am first record I ever bought. I was 10 years old. I bought Elvis Presley's Greatest Hits with my own money, albums. Elvis Presley's Greatest Hits and Kiss Alive 2 in the same day.
I bought Kiss Destroyer first.
Yeah, and that launched me. Then I went backwards like as a mega fan.
What was your first concert?
Elvis Presley.
Me too.
I saw Elvis in April of '77, like 3 months before he died.
Yeah,
or whatever it was.
We saw him. I want to say August to late August of '76.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I was a huge Elvis. My dad was a big Elvis fan, and I get that weird. My dad's country music. He rocked like Chuck Berry and Elvis. He was never a big Beatles or Stones guy. I kind of found those on my own.
This sounds very familiar to me.
And then, but his country loves were like country, Jerry Jeff Walker, and things like that. And then I would and Waylon Jennings, and I loved that music just from him. And then I gravitated to. My mom loved Carole King and Olivia Newton-John and Anne Murray, and those songs like. Even as a kid, I would think, God, these songs are heart-wrenching. They're so sad. And I think that's where I am a sucker for a sad ballad.
The first time you heard an Olivia Newton-John song when you were a kid, and you were like, oh, that's terrible. She's so sad. And then you saw her pictures like, how are you that sad? You're that hot.
Yeah, she was
That's the kind of stuff
super
I thought
hot.
still is.
She was super hot at the time.
A little bit of a country influence, like listening to the new single and stuff and the video. Is that kind of where that's got a little country vibe to it.
Didn't
I get that
start out
vibe,
that way. It didn't start out that way. The song was written for my daughter, and it started out as more of an Eagles-ish kind of a not tip of the cap to Elton John kind of a vibe.
A little bit of Poco mixed in.
Kind of a little loose, laid back kind of thing. And then it kind of eventually it morphed, and we started playing it for people, and we started getting the same comment. This is a true story. I played it for a guy, and he was like, God, he had a daughter, and he was like, eyes welled up with tears. He goes, that's the wedding song. He goes, that's a good country song. I was like, is it? Like, that's a country song to you? He was like, yeah. He goes, that's so good. And on the way home, I called Eddie that day. He goes, hey, guess what happened? I played it for the guy at the station. He said it's a wedding song. He thinks it's a country song. He goes, no way. He said that happened to him that he had played it the same day for somebody here. And they said the same thing. So the more we messed around with it, every time you got a little more country, it just kind of felt right. That's just kind of where it ended up. Because Eddie and I have written, rock songs before, and then I wrote another one that's kind of more of an Eagles-ish kind of thing for some buddies of mine. But this one just kind of, that's where, and the more it went that way, country, at first I was kind of resistant. I was like, Eddie, I'm not hearing it. And then I took a few days away from it and listened to it again and went, okay, that makes sense now. I hear where it's going musically.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play it at my wedding. Maybe. I'm already married, but I'm thinking about getting another one. But yeah, I always tell people that nowadays I'm a little bit of a music snob. And I say, well, pop sounds like country. Country sounds like pop. Hip-hop sounds like pop. It's all, which is kind of what people were always going for all those years, mass appeal. And,
yeah, sure.
Hey, this person can like my stuff too. But that absolutely has a country flavor to it.
Yeah.
The mandolin,
working with the radio,
pedal guitar.
That's got to be different too, because you've got an eclectic, like Tom said, this hip hop song to this Taylor Swift song to this or whatever, and they're all going to be.
Yeah, what is your format on your station?
The station format is essentially a more adult-leaning top 40.
Okay.
But it's made up of it's Post Malone, Taylor Swift, and all that. So like my song would never get played on my radio station.
I don't know. If we call in, if we mount a robocall campaign.
You know what? And I shouldn't say that because we're playing. We just had Dan and Shay have two huge hits right now.
Sure.
And they're country art. They say they're country artists, but they sound very pop. That's a very polished country sound. Yeah. And now that the country artist Kane Brown is essentially rapping
Undertaker's
over a
brother, right?
dance beat.
Well, like Lady Antebellum, they're a country band, but they're pop.
They have huge
They're
hits.
on
Yeah.
mainstream radio.
Yeah, things just kind of cross genre there.
I always thought Brad Paisley and Jonas Brothers, they always had that kind of thing. I heard all that stuff when my niece was listening to it.
Right.
I'm more into Norwegian death metal and stuff like that. Excuse me.
I
black
noticed
metal.
your Death T-shirt when you came in a minute ago.
I covered it up with a
Yeah.
Bloody Mary T-shirt. That's a local band that hadn't been around in 20-something years. Shout out to Bill. Bloody Bill.
So that kind of brings me to something Tom and I were talking about. With you having your own format on your show, are you able? Is it kosher for you to hype up your?
Can you
song?
promote it?
Can you promote your own stuff?
Oh
on
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Tastefully, of course.
And
Yeah.
I haven't done it a lot. Like this week, I've been talking about it only because this is what my life is.
Yeah.
And so our show is based around not the music, but it's around like what we're doing in our lives because that's as it's relatable to other people. And so everybody's heard this song. Like I played the song one time on the radio. I was like, hey, I did this song for my daughter. I gave her it as a Christmas gift. And people are like, well, let's hear it. So I played it. And then it's kind of gone into these different forms. But I've talked about the excitement of more on the lines of I cannot believe like this is happening to me. Like you will not believe what I did yesterday. I spent 8 hours shooting a music video, like a legit music video.
Where'd you shoot that video?
We did it in 2 spots over 2 days. We did it in Belmont in the park in Belmont the first day. And I said, the song is called Maggie Made Dreams. And it's built around the story that when my daughter was little, when I would put her to sleep in the afternoons for her nap.
And you would dress up like Rod Stewart.
Exactly. In my dreams.
Okay.
I could look that cool. And
He's like a foot and a half shorter than
I
you,
would
man.
just start singing for whatever reason. I don't know why. The acoustic version, Rod Stewart put out an album called Unplugged and Seated in like 93, 94.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a version of Maggie May, which is a song about him running off with this, cougar, essentially. That's the whole story. It's the most inappropriate song to be singing to a 6, 8,
Those
9,
are almost the
1-year-old.
exact words I used telling Brian about what Maggie May was about earlier.
Yeah. And I remember, I can distinctly remember I would pick her up and we'd dance around the room where her mom would go to the store or whatever she had to go do that day when I got home from work. And and the song starts with him singing that line, wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. And I would sing that to her
Get
for
ready
whatever
to
reason.
dump you.
Yeah. And she would go to sleep. And that just became the song that I would sing to her in the afternoons and she would go to sleep. And the song was built around the fact that it's this terribly inappropriate song to be singing to this kid. But that's where I would wonder. Like,
But they
God,
say that kids don't care. It's just how you talk to them or how you sing to them.
But I would just wonder what, like, in those times, this whole song is built around the truth that I was like, what is this kid going to grow up to be? Like, where are we going to be 20 years from now? And
Hopefully not married to Rod Stewart. Rachel Hunter's old.
Yeah, so we just that's where the whole story of the song grew out of that.
A little birdie, Eddie, told us that
A short birdie.
told us a little bit about the casting call, and you guys were overwhelmed with a lot of people.
We put it out. I just said, hey, look, I want to do this thing. It's about dads and daughters. Would dads and daughters be interested in being in a video? Hit me up. Just send me a message. And we had a ton of them. And we just kind of went through and pulled. We said, like, describe yourself or something. We pulled, I think, like 50 in contact out of a couple hundred. It's one of those things like you almost at some point are like, I'm not even going to look through it. I've got so many here to look at. I'm just going to look at these and we'll figure it out from here. And I think 35 of the 50 we contacted showed up, which was way more than we could ever have
It's a damn
used.
good turnout.
Yeah.
Typically it's under 50%.
It
That's
was
exactly how
unbelievable.
our Facebook our shows go. I'm like, okay, we've got 200 people coming to our show.
We always figure, okay, take
Half that.
50% off
Right.
of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a formula.
So-
It's called lowered expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way you're never disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
then
still
when that
disappointed.
200 shows up, you're like,
But man, when you're not disappointed, whatever the opposite of disappointed is, insanely pleasantly surprised, man, what a feeling.
well, yeah.
How many people are here? We don't have that many hot dogs. I guess. I don't know what we serve.
But yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
so that's how it started. So the people showed up, and then we picked, of those groups, we picked a couple. We were trying to build a story arc with the little girl and trying to see, like, this girl's blonde and that little girl's blonde. Like, they kind of look close enough alike.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of families come back. I think we had 8 or 10 that came back the next Sunday. And we shot at Clifton, who's Eddie's best friend. I've known Clifton now 18 years through Charity Case. He's the guitar player in Charity Case. Right. And he's got this great house that if you any direction. If you turn the other way, it looks like a totally different place.
Yeah, we wondered whose house it was. That's a
it's
sweet
Clifton's.
spot.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so we could shoot everything
Is that in
one
Belmont
spot
also?
there. That is not, no.
What city is that in?
In Charlotte.
What's that address? Is anyone usually there on the weekends? That's a very nice
And
place.
so they came back and we shot it all there and just kind of were able to build a cool little, include other dads and daughters and then build a little story within this girl that shows how she spends time with her dad from growing up until the day that she gets married.
Aside from the mediocre mandolin playing,
Yes.
no, Eddie's damn good, man. It's great. But I think I heard pedal guitar in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Who did that?
We can. You would have to ask Eddie. He has the rundown of all
Okay.
the musicians.
Because I don't think Eddie plays that.
No, I wasn't here when we did that because they came back and that was one of those things that once everybody was talking about. It's a country song.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna experiment with it a little bit. I'm gonna bring in some pedal steel. I was like, that's gonna be real country, and I didn't think it was gonna work. And then they came back and just put it together.
Is that Feather Pocket? Is that what he does?
Yeah, he does do some of that.
Okay.
Did you really just talk shit about me?
Yeah,
Motherfucker.
you're fine.
We can edit that one out, Eddie.
It's fine.
Eddie just walked in.
A guy can't, even be in his own studio without some clown talking crap about
Well, I
it.
had to have a segue into pedal guitar, but yeah,
Ooh,
we
now that Eddie's here, I got a good question.
asked him.
So, well, it's not for Eddie. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
so Ace can talk about Eddie while he's here.
Okay.
So, if you go back and listen to our other podcast, we've talked about Charity Case. Ace, doing your own stuff now and not, doing a lot of covers, which nothing wrong with that. Charity Case is a great band. You guys do all kinds of stuff. Again, go back and listen to the other podcast. How cool is it to kind of write some of your own stuff?
It's awesome. It's really good. The first time we did it, we were writing a song because we were trying to win an opening spot for Kiss. You had to write your own song and submit it. And that was the first thing that we ever wrote as a band. And Eddie and I wrote the lyrics together. And I was like, hey, this is really fun. And he said, have you ever thought about writing songs? And I said, I've done some parody songs for the radio. He was like,
Oh, those are my favorite.
he was like, why not? Why would you not do more songs? I was like, I don't know what to do. He goes, just go write some words and bring them back to me. So I ended up writing a song for my ex-wife, and the same thing happens every time. I come back and I say, okay, here's what I've got. And I sing him the lyrics, and he says the same thing. Every time he says the same thing. Words are good. Lyrics are solid. Melody needs a lot of work. And then we sit down with an acoustic guitar, and I watch him kind of bang around like that. What do you think? That or that? That
Guitar,
And then-
not mandolin, though, right?
guitar.
Okay, good.
And then suddenly, he musically writes the melody. And in my very powerful musical vocabulary, I say things like, I think what about if it went like chugga 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 right? Because I don't know any notes or I was like, and like chugga chugga, and then it should be open, and then a drum would go like toot toot patoon, and he's like, oh, you mean like this? And then he has to try to interpret what I'm trying to say, and we sort it out from there.
All right.
That sounds like Run DMC circa 1982. Anyway, that's sorry, I forgot all of you were white.
All right. Well, we know the video's coming out soon.
I have a question though.
Yeah, hit me.
Rockbox era Run DMC or
Thank you.
pre-Rockbox?
Yeah, Profile Records,
Yes.
West 54th and Broadway. Not to be confused with Zakia and Broadway.
We've
with
been
Eric
doing
B. and
we've been
Rakim,
doing a lot of this side stuff
Oh,
today.
Rakim too. Yes, Eric B. and Rakim, Follow the Leader.
the rap god.
Yeah.
Paid in Full was a better album. One time I went to, this little story for you, Eddie. Drove to, I had a bad habit in the late 80s of quitting jobs to go to the beach. And so one Friday I was working at a place over near South Park with my friend Alvin. And he said, hey, let's go to Wilmington and visit our friends down there. I said, okay, well, I'm scheduled to work tomorrow. He goes, well, I said, yeah, I'll quit. So he doesn't tell the boss. He never
I'll
tells
quit,
the
sure.
boss. The guy's name was Lee. I don't want to say his last name. He might be dead. Who knows? It's been a while. Anyway, so he doesn't tell Lee, and he leaves, and he said, tell Tom not to be late for work tomorrow. So we leave, or he leaves there about 10:30 that night, comes to my house, picks me up. I said, you didn't say nothing to Lee, did you? Nah. So we're such a hurry to get out of town so he can't call me because this is pre-cell phone. We didn't even have an answer machine. Yeah. This is fall of 87. Get in the car, his little Mustang, hauling ass down to Wilmington, around about Rockingham or, maybe Wingate. For all you people that don't know where that is, it's nowhere. It's past Monroe. I realized that this auto reverse cassette deck that he has, it just keeps flipping the tape. It just plays it on a loop. It's been playing Eric B. and Rakim Paid in Full for the entire drive. And I said, hey, what else? What other cassettes you have? He said, I thought you were bringing them. So we listened to that all the way to Wilmington and all the way back. So I know it by heart. Yeah.
And you quit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I quit. He called, and then when
That's the
we
better
got
part of the
back,
story.
he asked Alvin, he says, why didn't he come into work? And I don't know. I was in Wilmington. Yeah, well, I got his sister on the phone. She said he was in Wilmington. Alvin said, well, I was like south of Wilmington at Carolina Beach. Anyway, cassettes are sweet.
Yeah, I got a couple of those still somewhere. Remember when we talked to somebody the other day and we were like, do you know what a VHS is?
Yeah, because I've got a VCR in there playing heavy metal right now.
Very
And
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, oh, yeah, it's that big square thing that has
Those square
tape.
cartridges. Yeah.
Eddie, you know who we were talking about. Anyway, you got a video coming out. You're going to be doing some more promotion.
Yeah.
Tell us about all that.
Whatever anybody who wants to talk to me about the song, I'll talk to them.
The song is actually dropping on the 21st. That's Thursday.
Yep, Thursday
Was
the
that
21st.
dropping at midnight, 12 o'clock and 1 nanosecond, or how do they do that?
Well,
Is that how that works, Eddie? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't even know.
in reality, the song dropped yesterday because today is Friday.
Oh, that's right, because we're doing this live, not the Monday before that.
Right. So it's been out now for,
24 hours,
24
maybe.
hours.
All you people that have already listened to this, just disregard. Can we edit this, Logan? Logan's on the board. He's not amused. Is that a thumbs down or? Yeah, my contact's kind of blurry. Well, that's going to be on released. Excuse me, that was released on Thursday. That's getting confusing
so
now.
it's called Maggie Made Dreams, and it's on Spotify and Pandora and iHeart
And available on Playroom Records.
and Apple Music and everywhere. And you can find the video on Vivo. Just search for David Ace Cannon or Maggie Made Dreams. It'll pop right up.
Not the Ace Cannon that died last year at the age of 84.
I don't think he's got a video though. Did he really die at
Could have
84?
videos.
Is
He
that
did.
for-
He only
Oh,
died last year, and I think I did the math because I said, well, he can't possibly be alive. I didn't realize he just died less than a year ago. It was
I had
like
no
December
idea.
of
I did not know that.
Ace Cannon, old saxophonist, Mississippi. No relation. He just stole his name
Yeah.
off of a tombstone, assumed his identity.
You can also click below the post, and it'll take you right to the video.
Post Malone?
Yep, Post
That
Malone.
means after Malone? No, terrible.
I'm done. I quit.
So did Tom.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it very much. This was fun.
Ace, it's been a
Thanks.
pleasure. I hope we gave you your due time and
Some amusement.
enough time, adequate time. know
I
you're
had a
doing lot of
blast. It was so
promotion.
fun.
I know
Thank
you're
you.
doing a lot
Thank
of
you.
promotion. Thank you. It's good to sit in with a true pro for once. Oh, Eddie's still here. Yes, another pro. But Ace's song, Maggie Made Dreams, it's going to be the wedding song of the next quarter decade, I predict. At least a quarter decade.
Man, I hope so.
Get so lucky.
If
It's
we
going to
could-
be one of those staples.
We could get
it
a little
could
bit.
be.
We could get a little bit of that, just a touch of that butterfly kisses money out of this deal. That would be incredible. I would be all
Give
about
me some of that ladder to heaven or whatever it was they
Too bad I'm
played.
not getting married again.
Do what?
Butterfly kisses.
You said
Too
too
bad I'm
bad.
not getting married
Yeah,
again.
no, it's a good thing you're not getting married again. That's a.
Every woman in New Orleans has got lucky.
Cut that part out.
Okay. But songs dropping has
Yesterday.
dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll-
However we're doing
we'll
this,
figure
people
this out.
like people don't know there's recording devices in the world. But check it out. Check him out. David Ace Cannon of the Ace and TJ Show, and your podcast. Does it have a name?
Ace at Large.
Ace at Large.
Yes.
Damn it. Now see that pisses me off. That's catchier than MadPark Podcast.
Well, we can rename ours after what being.
No, we've already established a crappy brand.
Well, that can be separate from the podcast.
Oh,
We can do it off the Stream CLT.
that won't affect my pay, will it?
StreamCLT.com. That's where you can find all the podcasts.
Let's talk about how it affects my money.
Yeah.
How about social media? You got it.
Yeah, it's Twitter, Instagram, at Ace at Large. Facebook, David Ace Cannon. I got to populate that because I had to make a new one.
Yeah, me too.
You
Russian
get that whole
hackers.
thing where you get that whole like, hey, can you, you've got to produce a driver's license with your picture on it that says your
Oh,
name is
yeah.
Ace. And I was like, well, that's not possible. It's not going to happen. So
I just got discouraged after my @big old butts was taken off Twitter. Anyway, thank you, Dave.
thank y'all, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate
we
it. It was
really
fun.
appreciate it. And if you tuned in, or however we say it with podcasts, if you listened, thank you, and I'm sorry. And check us out again. It's MadPark Podcast. You can check us out, me and Brian, at madparkdesigns.com. We are your screen printing and graphic design and web design pseudo-moguls. You can check out the Playroom at theplayroomonline.com. And you can drive by one day, 916 Tuckasegee Road, Charlotte, just west of Uptown. Take 4th Street, it turns into Tuckasegee, and you'll find yourself in a gorgeous little area over here.
Bye.